we got the Roach King for his weekly spot. Gar, what's up, man?
Yo, what's going on?
Yeah, what's up, man? What's up? How was the weekend? How's everything been with you?
Good, man. Had our little first engagement party yesterday, and moving a little bit slower today.
The Roach is lagging today. Buffering on a Monday. Hey, you and a lot of other people, man. It's Monday.
Yeah.
Case of the Mondays. Everything going well though on the, I guess what you said, the engagement party and everything. The wedding planning begins. The fun part begins. Have you ever seen the Mike Leach video where somebody asked him like advice on weddings and stuff and wedding planning? Have you seen that?
No.
I'll have to send you that. It's pretty funny. I think you.
I could imagine. He's one of the funnier coaches that I would have loved to have played for him. He seems funny as hell.
Yeah, his commentary is basically like, he's like, you're going to get asked about this, which your response is, I don't care. And you're going to get asked about this, which your response is, I don't care. But he's like, I don't care is not a sufficient answer. No, I'll have to send you the link because it is really funny. Dude, I was going to say this. We'll start here. So I have the Time Hop app or whatever that shows you like memories from on this day a year ago, 2, 3, 4, 5, whatever on social media. And yesterday it came up. I didn't repost the picture, but I was like, I'm going to put this in my mental bank so I can bring it up. The picture of, what is it? You, Lattimore, and I think Bruce Ellington, the one where you like pose in the hallway. That came up. I got to know, is there any like funny story behind that, or is it just simple as like just a random photo on media day?
I know Alshon was in there too. Yeah, it was a very, very random, just kind of like, hey, y'all do a funny pose and take a picture. So that's what we did.
For whatever reason, people just love it.
I don't remember where that was. I honestly don't remember anything about it other than it just being a super random, like, yeah, do a funny pose. And we're like, well, fuck it. All right.
So here's something I feel like you won't recall unless you're like a diehard Gamecock fan, or unless you're yourself, obviously, because you played with him. Do you remember the Fat Alshon era? Do you remember that? Do you recall what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The magazine thing where like he was, and everybody quoted as like Fat Alshon. Like, what was that about?
That's when we switched our jerseys to the modern jerseys, and all of us. My buddy Cliff, Andrew Clifford, he was like, dude, we look like absolute whales in this shit. But I do remember seeing Alshon on the front of the magazine, like, dude, that's not a good look. We got to do something about these jerseys.
So was he really? I mean, was there any validity to like he was overweight, or was just the jersey wasn't flattering?
Oh, the jersey was not flattering at all for literally for anybody. But I do remember his first day on campus on workouts, and he shows up, and we're like, how the hell is this kid a 5-star receiver? Like, this guy kind of looks like shit. And Zach Brandeis, I don't know if you remember that name. Zach Brandeis threw him a streak, and I think he went over top of like, I forgot who it was, like maybe Darian Stewart, like a veteran guy. Literally went over top and caught mossed. He mossed the shit out of like 3 or 4 guys, and we all kind of looked at each other like, well, okay, well, I guess that's why. But yeah, man, I remember seeing him. I was like, man, this guy is severely out of shape, and I was in no stretch of the imagination in great shape either, but. I wasn't out running routes and stuff. I was out there just sitting in the pocket throwing around.
You weren't too worried about your mobility at that point, I guess.
No.
You're like, I'm not trying to be Johnny Manziel, or at that time, I guess you're not trying to be Pat White out there. You're like, I'm trying to be in the pocket.
And that's kind of what my style of play was in high school. I was like 215, running like a 4.5, and then I get up to South Carolina, and we got Eric Norwood. He's running a 4.5 at 280 pounds, and I was like, well, 285 pounds hitting me is going to hurt like a bitch. So I'm going to start putting on some weight and just be able to absorb some hits. And yeah, I got up to 250 within like 3 months of being up there between the red shirt workouts and the protein shakes.
You're what, 6'4"? 6'3"?
I'm like 6'3.5" at
6'3", 6'3.5", 250 solid. That's solid.
Shit, I was
built like a shit brick house, my guy, or a brick shit house, whatever it is.
Yeah, no, I was at one point I was heavier than all the linebackers we had on the team. Once Jasper Brinkley graduated, I was heavier than every single one of them. So it helped.
Yeah. What was Spurrier's philosophy on quarterbacks running? Because I mean, you think of Spurrier, you just think of throwing the ball. Did he like his quarterbacks to run? I mean, obviously you were a guy. I mean, you just put the shoulder down. I'm
Yeah.
sure he loved that. I'm sure, but
no, he absolutely hated that. We would spend a ridiculous amount of time in pre-practice and actual practice doing sliding drills and like running out of bounce drills. It's like I told him, and to this day, I still one of my favorite quotes I've ever said to anybody. He's like, "Hey, you got to learn how to slide." I said, "Coach, sliding is for baseball and DMs. That is it. I'm not sliding. I'm not doing that."
This is like the pre-DM sliding era too. So good for you for being ahead of the curve there.
For sure. But yeah, man, I just kept running. That's just how I played, and I wasn't afraid to lower my shoulder. Like I said, I was heavy as hell. And it worked. And then also times, when I got pulled against Auburn in 2010, that first time we played, because I fumbled, he's like, "Yeah, you put your head down, you fumble. That's what happens when you try to run people over." It's like, no, man, the guy just put his helmet on the ball. Like, I don't know what you want me to tell you. But I think he kind of saw like where Connor's strength was him literally running around, making plays, and extending plays with his feet. And, Connor was also running, he was probably a high 4.4 guy, low 4.5. So he was able to kind of run around people. I wasn't outrunning anybody. I was just going through them.
What was your 40 back in the day? What were you at?
Shit, in high school, I was like a low 4.5, and then once I got to South Carolina, I don't even know. I honestly don't know.
Got up to 250. It wasn't quite a 4.5 anymore.
No, it was a forever is what it was.
It was a forever, dude. Dude, I think what's so fascinating is, again, I've been able to talk to a good bit of guys on the show, obviously former players, and obviously some quarterbacks, guys you played with, a lot of dudes that played for Spurrier, and it's like everybody talks about like, oh, Steve Spurrier, he's like this icon. I just feel like you didn't give a shit. Like what made you? What clicked for you to where like I feel like some guys are like intimidated, and it's like you obviously did not give a damn. Like, hey, I know you're a legend, but you're like I'm a legend too. I don't give a damn. Like whatever.
No, I mean it's just I don't know. Just his entire time recruiting me, he was just a very personable guy, and I talk to his wife to this day. She's like, you remind Steve so much of himself when he was in college. That's why he's so hard on you. He doesn't want you to, kind of bounce around the walls like he did. But back then, you could get away with a lot more shit than you can in this day and age. So it's just, I don't know. I felt like we were friends, I guess, so to speak, even though we never saw eye to eye very often. But yeah, then again, it's like, whatever. You recruited me to play for you. That's all that really is.
Yeah. You remind me of Adrian Morales on the football side. I don't know if you recall Adrian.
I actually talked to him quite a few times.
Yeah, we had him on the show a couple of weeks ago, and Adrian's a guy I'm sure you know that like just having normal conversation with him, he'll have you so ready to run through a brick wall, which is
for sure.
I get why he's in coaching. But
for sure.
I was talking to him recently, and I brought you up, and he was like, "That's my quarterback. That's my quarterback." But he would butt heads with Tanner constantly, and like most guys are like, we're scared of him. He's like, "Coach, no, that's not how you do it. What are you doing?"
Yeah. Well, he knows the sport, man. He knows the game. He knows what the hell to do. And not saying that Tanner didn't or doesn't, but when you're out there taking live fire and we're actually in the game, it's a hell of a lot different than being on the sideline, kind of coaching, so to speak.
Yeah. So South Carolina going through fall camp right now. Not to cut you off, Stephen, but
no, go ahead.
Just give fans an idea. What are the Gamecocks doing right now? I know that seems like a very basic question, but you got a scrimmage on Saturday, first scrimmage. Team will be out there today at 3:05, 3:15, I think, or something like that, which I guess Shane Beamer's trying to get them ready for the heat of the early season. Of course, you've played Georgia at noon at Willie B. You know how hot it is.
Oh my God.
But what is the team doing right now? Because spring, I feel like, is all the fundamentals, getting back to the basics. Now I guess it's a lot of just instilling your system and sharpening up and getting everybody kind of ready to go, or what?
If it's anything like how camp was for us with Spurrier, they are hating life right now.
Yeah,
absolutely hating life. Fall camp was the worst. Just because you're going. Back then we had 2-a-days.
Yeah.
And there's no classes. They might be taking classes now. Everything's backwards.
They start next Monday. Next Monday start classes.
But it's like there's nobody on campus, so you can't like hang out with anybody. It is strictly you are butting heads with the same people and the same coaches all day, every day until like you get ready to start practice for the game, start game planning. And it's giving me anxiety just thinking about it. And back then, shit, we couldn't even have a football. We had to throw with a goddamn softball.
What?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah. And it was just
God.
miserable, man. It just early morning wake up call. You had breakfast and you had or like a lift, and you had breakfast and you had meetings. Then we had practice. Then we go take a hour nap or whatever. Then we have to do the same thing again. It's just like, oh my God, it's Groundhog Day. Like I just want to freaking hit somebody. That's all I want to do right now.
Which is so interesting because coming from the baseball school of thinking, like I remember when I played ball in college, and so we were the other side of it, right? The semester would end, and then we'd still be on campus for 2-3 weeks, and if you made the postseason, whatever, and like we loved it because it's like we just got baseball and that's it. But it's so different because you don't watch film in baseball. You don't have like meetings and you practice and then it's over. Yeah. Football is like you're showing up to the facility at 6 a.m. and you're not leaving till 9 p.m. But right now they're practicing at 3 o'clock. That's it. But it's so much more than just like a 2-hour practice. Like it's
right. Yeah, no, it's
insane.
Yeah, I'm sure. And Coach Beamer, like I said, he's seen both sides of that. I'm sure he saw how Spurrier did it. Right. I'm sure some other guys had different approaches to fall camp, and obviously his dad probably has his own way. So I think Coach Beamer kind of saw everybody kind of like hating life. So I'm sure he's got a pretty good strategy of. At the same time, you don't want to let these guys just kind of roam free. Right. If I had a little bit of free time, God only knows what I would have been doing.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, dude, fall camp with no class, like were y'all not just like out every night? Like, I mean, all you got is football.
Yeah,
I guess you're at the facility at like 5 a.m. So
yeah, that's the thing. So they made sure we were there early as hell. And trust me, there was times where guys were not feeling great in that morning session.
Right. What's the most hungover you've been at, like a workout or a practice or whatever?
So it's actually kind of wild, man. And I'm sure a lot of people say this, but I just don't do hangovers. The last time I was hungover was my unofficial first visit to Colombia. And I had to meet with,
who took you out?
Ike Crowfoot.
Very good.
Yep. So I went out with him and a bunch of the guys, all that, and I had a meeting, a breakfast meeting with Coach Spurrier and Coach David Reeves and my parents the next morning at like 9 o'clock in the morning. I don't think I got in till like 7. So the whole breakfast, I'm literally sitting like this, my hand on like this, and I'm kind of like doing one of these deals. Right. I said, you're gonna have to excuse me. So I go to the bathroom probably 4 or 5 times and just calling the caveman. And but that was the last time that I was hungover. I don't know if I had a couple of hairy buffaloes, and I think that instilled the roach blood.
You're immune now.
Yep.
Immune to everything.
Oh my God, it was wild.
You know what that makes me think of? Ike Crowfoot taking you out, which is so funny. And I love the specials. Had Ike on. He's an awesome guy. Makes me think, did you ever watch Blue Mountain State? I would imagine you did.
No, I didn't.
God, no. That might be the biggest breaking news of all, that you've never seen that show, because that is like.
Trust me, I've heard that several times.
Right. Because it reminds me of like when they go party with the specialists, and it's just like the weirdest people. It's the weirdest people. And then it's when Moran gets demoted from second string quarterback to third string quarterback, and now he's got to hang out with the special teams. Like he's no longer with like the cool people anymore.
Yeah,
he gets demoted down to special teams because he's like the holder obviously now and all that. So
yeah, no, we it was not a weird crew that Ike was hanging out with. I can promise you that.
Right. Good to know. Dude, this is awesome, man. How's quarterback training going? I mean, everything. I guess you're working with Ace and.
Yeah. So we ran a camp at my house.
Which is so awesome. Which is so awesome, by the way. Just running camps out the backyard. Just love that.
Dude, it was absolutely awesome. And then the following week, I did a camp with him up in Bradenton, where he lives, and been talking with him. I mean, it's only going to grow from here. He knows what the hell he's doing, obviously, and still, he's like me, man. He shows the kids like how it's done, like how he wants them to do it. So you kind of lead by example, as opposed to just sitting there with a cup of coffee in your hand or cup of something in your hand, like just barking orders at these kids, like, you got to do this. This is how you're supposed to do it. And I see it all the time on social media. These quarterback coaches, have like they're not doing anything. They're literally just standing there and just kind of barking orders and like, oh, you got to get the arm through the hallway. You got to this and arm angles. You got to decelerate. And it's like, dude, what the fuck are you talking about? Like this, if this kid doesn't know how to throw a ball right now in high school, then you're just stealing money. You should be sued for malpractice. But no, man. But it's to answer your question, that was a long-winded response. But to answer your question, man, it's been awesome. Like I said, I got a new kid coming today at 1:00 for a one-on-one. So Nelson Aguilar actually is the one that recommended this kid. So that's
really
pretty cool.
I was gonna say, are there any notable guys you've coached like that maybe fans would know like that are at the college level right now, or anybody you think is primed to be kind of that type of dude? Or
yeah, there's probably the most famous guy, I guess you could say, is Mike White, who plays for the Jets.
Yeah,
who beat the Bengals last year. He actually started training with me like 3 years ago, his rookie year. And he actually just bought a place. I could probably hit a driver to his house from here. So he comes out often, man, and he's a good dude, man. And he doesn't big league people, which is what my favorite quality of him is. Yeah, the guys in the NFL, he's won games in the NFL, he's thrown passes in the NFL. He's not just having a cup of coffee, but he'll like help me kind of instruct like the younger guys and the college level guys, and they all love him, man. We played in a little gyrator athletic kind of tournament thing. And yeah, man, he's cool shit. We played like basketball, then we played wiffle ball, and we were gonna play tennis, but our team ended up sweeping them, so we didn't have to do that. But yeah, man, he's salt of the earth guy, and yeah, that's probably the most famous guy.
I've never had him on the show, but the guy, like a guy I would love, obviously, when people ask me like who's your top list, who you'd love to get on, I'd love to get like Holtz and Spurrier, but G.A. Mangus, I feel like he's not talked about enough. He seemed like he'd be a legend. I'll never forget like the highlight I remember him. There's many, but the one at Clemson 2010 when you throw that, I think it was the long touchdown to Alshon. It was either that one, yeah, the roll right back across the field, and you like look at him and y'all like looking back at each other. I'm like, G.A. Mangus seems like a cool dude.
Yeah, really no, he's awesome, man. I talked to him here and there. I wish he was still coaching in the collegiate level because I'm telling you right now, he is the reason I stayed at South Carolina.
Yeah, because I remember you told me you thought about transferring after early on the whole swapping quarterbacks deal.
Yep. And when me and Chris Smelley were literally going back and forth when we played against Florida, and we lost 56-6. I literally went up to Coach Spurrier the next day and I said, Coach, if you ever plan on doing that again, tell me now because I'm out of here. I'm not doing that. And then he's like, yeah, we're not going to do that again. And then, after that season, Smelly transferred to go play baseball at Bama. Coach Reeves left to go coach at Tennessee with his then brother-in-law, Kiffin. And then Coach Mangus came. I went to my high school just to like kind of help out and shoot the shit with a couple of the old coaches. And Coach Mangus was recruiting a couple of guys. And he's like, yeah, keep this between us, but I'm going to be your new quarterback coach at South Carolina. So he's like, and this is for me, he goes, you better fucking stay there. Because we're gonna do some good things, and I was like, all right, man, I kind of like where this guy's at. I kind of like his attitude. So, yeah, he convinced me to stay, and yeah, I mean, we're good friends still to this day.
Do you think if the transfer portal was a thing back then and transferring was so prevalent, you would have been immediately eligible? Do you think you would have left?
It probably would have been in my best interest to, just to be completely honest. And it depends on the NIL how much somebody was going to give me. But what Anheuser-Busch was going to give me.
Right. The newest Missouri quarterback sponsored by Anheuser-Busch.
That would have been freaking awesome. But yeah, I mean, and I remember Coach Spurrier coming up to me and he's like, you can go anywhere. We're not going to withhold you going to Georgia, Florida. You can go wherever you want if you want to transfer. And I told him point blank, I said, Coach, I came here to play for you. I came here to play with these guys. I felt like Wolf of Wall Street. I'm not fucking leaving. And then what the hell is it called? SEC showed up and made me fucking get rid of that whole playing career there. So, anyways, man, I don't have many regrets. There's several that I wish I would have done differently, but as they say, shit happens.
Where would you have gone, do you think, if you had a transfer? Was there anybody that was like reaching out to you and was like, hey, like if you're thinking about it?
Yeah, Oklahoma talked to me. Well, didn't talk to me. Actually talked to my dad. Oklahoma and Louisville were probably like the top two. Ole Miss kind of was going back and forth, but if Ed Odron would have stayed at Ole Miss, I probably would end up going there. He was a freaking wild man, and that visit to Ole Miss was on a different level, man.
God, I'm just thinking about like how different is Gamecocks football history if you had left. I mean, honestly,
I don't know.
Wild to think about, really. Because like, who would have been QB? Aramis Hillary? I don't know. I
mean, or Reed McCollum. I mean, I don't
Reed
know.
McCollum. Oh yeah.
God, that was such a funny story that he I knew he was going to say some crazy ass shit.
Reed's an interesting guy. I had a very good time chatting with him. What was the story the retreat one, right? The party or the film. We'll close with that, by the way. I got to hear your side of this. Of the whole, in case people forgot what Reed was talking about, I'll let you walk through, but basically Spurrier calls you out in the film room.
Yeah. So I showed up the next day with a cast on my, like a walking boot. And, we have like meetings and we have practices during camp. And I was like, he's like, hey, what happened to you? I was like, I got rolled up on yesterday in the game. He's like, really? All right, we're going to watch the whole game and the whole scrimmage rather. And I want you to tell me when that happened. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, and all the quarterbacks that I was, all the teammates that I was with that night before, they all look at me and they just start dying laughing. I was like, well, I'm gonna see if I can pull this shit out of my hat. And but yeah, man, we went to the party at the retreat and there was a bunch of us out there and the walls up there were a lot higher than I thought. Then the cops ended up coming out and they were like, hey, Garcia, you gotta go, man, you gotta go. So I was like, all right, well, shit. I go into survival mode and scale one of the fences, and I guess I didn't realize how high it was on the way down, and fucking landed on my ankle and hurt the shit out of it. Yeah, I'm just glad.
So what was the end result of the watching film? Did you get to the end and it was like, well, it just didn't happen? Like, sorry, coach, didn't happen.
No, I was like, he's like, is that the play? Because there was actually a couple plays where it looked kind of like I got rolled up on. And I was like, oh, yeah, it's that play. It might have been that one, actually. It might have been a combination of all of them.
They all run together.
I can't put my finger on it, coach.
Oh, my God.
And he knew 100% I was bullshit, but he couldn't prove it.
Did it keep you out a couple of days or not? I mean, it was spring ball, right? So I guess it didn't really matter.
I only played in one spring game in 5 years of being there. So.
What year was that? Do you remember? I don't even remember that, to be honest. Yeah. Steven Garcia in spring games. I don't remember that being a thing. I don't remember that being a thing, to be honest with you.
Nope.
Not a big spring game guy.
Nope. Not at all.
I love it. Steven, like I said, I know you got to get out of here, man. I appreciate you. We count down the days to kick. It's going to be really exciting to get your take and everything. Last thing, I promise. Did you see any video of Rattler throwing the ball around at practice or anything?
I've seen
floating around social media.
I've seen a bunch of video of him throwing, not only from in Columbia, but obviously from playing in Oklahoma. And I mean, there's the guy's got a freaking arm. I mean, that's not his like issue, so to speak. It's not his arm talent. I mean, he throws it with the best of them, obviously. I mean, the guy was in a Heisman hopeful, so the guy can play. I'm interested to see how it's going to translate into playing against the SEC, and the speed's slightly different than the previous conference he was in.
Is that your greatest concern for him, is the adjustment to competition, or is there something you've seen? I mean, again, you coach quarterbacks every single day. Is there something in his game that you've seen that, I've got a buddy of mine tells me he throws off his back foot a lot. Is that something you see? I mean, is there anything that stands out in his game that you think he's got to correct this?
I don't know. Who else throws off his back foot is Matt Stafford, and he seems to be pretty good. He also has
not too shabby.
He also has one of the strongest arms I've ever seen in real life. But yeah, I mean, I haven't watched enough of him to notice that he's throwing off his back foot. But I mean, the pure throwing motion is as pure as you can get. He's got a natural flip to it. The ball has a lot of velocity on it. I think just kind of getting comfortable with this new regime and new players and new atmosphere. It's a lot different, and I'm hoping that he can kind of mentally be there for it.
Yeah, at every level, it's interesting, Steven. All the pressure, all the glory, all the criticism goes on the quarterback, but you see it in the NFL all the time. If you're not in the right situation, the right scenario, the right supporting cast, I mean, we've seen it in the NFL. A lot of quarterbacks with bright futures, they just go down the tube because they're just in horrid situations. They're in horrid organizations. They don't get the support, and the talent just goes for naught, and it's a shame,
Yep.
really, truly. But
Yeah, no,
anyway,
definitely, for sure. No, you're 100% right.
I guess those checks still cash. Whatever. Here's what it is. Steven, appreciate you taking the time, man. Look forward to doing it every single Monday. I know our audience appreciates it as well. And yeah, we'll talk to you next week.
Yes, sir, man.
Roach
King
King out.
out.
Yeah, Roach King out. Appreciate it, man.
See you, man.
Talk to you.
All right.